I am sitting on my porch having coffee, and I took a look and saw that my 10 baby ducks are walking themselves to the pond. I can't tell you how happy this makes me. Every morning I walk them down to the pond. Takes them forever because they have to stop at every blade of grass to see if there's a little bug that they can chew on or whatever. But today I let them out of their pen, and they are walking themselves down to the pond. And Walter is with them, which really makes me happy also. Because, Walter's never in a pen. Walter is my first male. And I didn't hatch him out, but I bought him and his siblings when they were just babies. And I had bought my original 6 ducks, including Cookie, when they were about 9 weeks old, and they immediately went to the pond, and I never fed them, I never housed them, I never took care of them because I didn't need to, but also because they were just too wild. The farm that I bought them from had hundreds probably of ducks, and so they weren't people acclimated at all. And one by one they got picked off by the wildlife. We didn't have livestock guardian dogs back then. And the only one left of those is Cookie. So then I had Walter and his 4 siblings that I raised from the time they were about 3 weeks old. And I kept them up on the porch. I'm going to move over so we can try and see them better. I kept them up on the porch, not on the porch, but up near the house in a pen for a really long time. Like close to 4 months probably. And eventually they started flying out of the pen. They just did not want to be penned. And but they all stayed up near the house. And then we had a terrible ice storm. And the last duck besides Cookie was killed off by a predator. So Cookie came up to the house to protect herself from this terrible cold that we had. She even lost some toes due to frostbite. They've just kind of stopped there at the edge of the pond. The ducks have now. But in any case, Walter's siblings had found a better shelter than what I was providing for them under the eaves of the A-frame part of our house. And Walter was too heavy to fly up there, so he found Cookie, and they bonded. And they've been together ever since. Now, Walter's siblings have gotten killed. One was killed by a dog. One was killed by wildlife. And the final one, Rosie, she was killed recently, but I'm not sure why. And I think part of it is because Rosie and Cookie both had nests of eggs. Those baby ducks are almost down the pond now. Rosie and Cookie had nests of eggs, and they didn't hatch out because they sat in the middle of the nest and all the eggs were surrounding them. So they just didn't get it right. And Rosie was the last to leave her nest. And I think when she went to try and join Cookie and Walter on the pond, I think Cookie chased her off. And I don't think, personally, that she just wandered off to another home, because this is her home. I think she was probably either killed by wildlife or maybe even killed by one of our dogs. Our livestock guardian dogs are not nice to ducks or birds at all. I believe that they kill our birds, as do our house dogs, but they do scare off wildlife. So having the guardian dogs is a good idea. But the guardian dogs are penned up, so they don't really have an opportunity to chase the ducks anymore. They're outside all the time, but just their presence, I think, keeps the wildlife away. But in any case, these 10 I raised. 2 of them I incubated and hatched out, and the rest I can't even see them now because they're down at the pond, which is awesome. But the rest of the ducks I bought when they were just like a week old or less, and I bought 8 of them. And So I have 10 babies, and little by little, Walter hated them going to his pond at first, and he was very protective. And that was about a week ago. But they've been going down to the pond, and I walk them down there every day. It takes about a half an hour to get them out and down to the pond. And today's the first day that they walk themselves down to the pond. I'm really happy. I bring them back up at nighttime. Well, actually, that's the other thing, is they bring themselves back up at nighttime. The last 2 nights in a row, maybe 3 nights in a row, they have come up and into their pen at dusk, which I love. It's fantastic. And I guess that's what they're supposed to do. So when I'm done with my coffee, the 8 babies that are in my pantry in a brooder, they are not quite 2 weeks old, and I'm going to bring them outside and put them in the pen. And I'll raise them in the pen. They won't have access to the ponds until they are about the same size and age as these babies, which is about, I want to say about 10 weeks old. And so they've got about 2 more months that I'm going to keep them closer to the house before I introduce them to the ponds. But I'm hoping that they will get along well with, the older babies, and the younger babies will get along well. We'll see. But I'm going to bring them outside and keep them penned up. And when the older babies come up, I will put the newer babies in the cages inside the pen, and the older babies just inside the pen. And we'll see how they get along. Tomorrow morning, I'll let everybody out and see if they get along. I think that they will. But I think it's a good way to acclimate them to each other so that there's not too bad of a pecking order like there was with Rosie and Cookie, who just never did get along. Anyway, that's about it. And I'm going to go back to drinking my coffee.